Hello and welcome to 52%, the show that talks about everything and anything going on in Liverpool and beyond from the perspective of 52% of the population, women. It's our last episode before we take a little break for Christmas, and so this time we're talking about how everybody celebrates in the holiday season and how organisations are helping people less fortunate this Christmas.
So Christmas is only a few days away and many of us are getting ready to celebrate. However, the Commission on Religion and Belief in Public Life have recently suggested that the UK schools should move away from a calendar that revolves around Christian festivals such as Christmas. What do you think of this in our multi-faith culture?
I would say no, because we are a Christian country at the end of the day, and it does revolve around, the birth of Jesus, Easter.
The clue's in the name, isn't it? I always think that as an Anglo-Catholic.
But they've tried, like some councils have actually tried this before, when instead of actually saying it's Christmas, they try and use other words like it's a winter day of festivities or something like that. And it doesn't work. People don't like it.
You do get people saying happy holidays and seasons
That's
greetings.
very American, isn't it?
Yeah, but we are a multicultural society now.
But do you
we
think
do
that's
have
people
Hanukkah.
trying not to offend? Because I'm very conscious. I don't know if I'm becoming too PC, because I'm quite conscious of what I would say, because I don't want to offend anybody. So I mostly would be more likely to say like happy holidays, or and I do send Christmas cards as seasons greetings.
I always make sure mine are religious. It's actually increasingly difficult to find religious Christmas cards, so there are some amazing places in Liverpool. But I think that's, for me anyway, as a Christian, that's the point. And I think that an awful lot of commercial hype revolves around it, and people are spending more and more. They're spending money they don't have as well.
Oh, absolutely.
There are other religious festivals around this time.
Yeah,
Aren't
we've
there?
got Diwali
and Hanukkah.
Yeah.
As well.
But it'd be quite difficult, though, wouldn't it, to say to include the different religions and let the religions have their own holidays from school. I mean, the syllabus would be a mess if we did that. So, my thinking is that let's just agree on a set of 2 weeks where we all take a break.
Would it not be possible though to be?
Start now if you like.
Would it not be possible though to be more inclusive of the other sort of like religious festivals as well as Christmas?
But I think we are that inclusive though. Like, you do celebrate things like Diwali and like the Festival of Lights, and in schools, especially with religious education, you cover off everything, don't you? You learn more about other religions than necessarily Christianity.
And I think but I do think we are an established Christian country for now, at least. And personally, as an Anglo-Catholic, long may it continue, but the Anglican Church is, in essence, the established religious.
But didn't the Anglican Church take those dates from the original solstice and Yuletide? So I'm going to have a cool Yule, if that's all right with you.
I quite like the sound of that, though.
But I think Christmas is definitely becoming, I personally think, so much more commercialised. It's almost like horrendous. I don't know if you saw, there was a photo on Instagram of a woman who had a Christmas tree, and there must have been about 300 presents under this Christmas tree. You could hardly even see the Christmas tree.
Yes, I saw that too. And also, there was a Coca-Cola truck that visited Liverpool recently, and apparently that drew more than your average church on Christmas morning.
So for a lot of people, Christmas is more about Coca-Cola and the big red truck with all the lights on than...
Let's change that.
Yes,
but
let's change
But
that.
Christmas should be about love. That's what it should be about, rather than what you get under the tree or what Schweppes can afford you.
Yeah. But it does almost signify the start of Christmas, though, when the advert comes on the TV and the music. I was going to start singing then.
I do like
holidays are coming.
Wasn't it Coca-Cola that actually set up the idea of Santa in a red suit?
No, I think that's a myth.
That a myth?
That is a
Tell
social...
me the truth, then.
Damn it.
Come on, Maisie, let's hear it.
No, it's a social myth. It's a complete social myth. I mean,
Was it a green suit?
It wasn't Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola jumped on the bandwagon of Santa because, the whole St. Nicholas thing. went through a evolutionary process, and during the 19th century sort of like became Santa Claus. And then in the 1930s, Coca-Cola jumped on the bandwagon. It was the 30s that Coca-Cola
I've got
jumped
an
on the bandwagon.
interesting thing to tell you about traditions and stuff. My partner worked for some time in Holland, and they have Santa's helper, who's actually a nasty person who frightens children.
Black Pete.
Black Pete.
Black Pete.
And so all the
know
kids
about
go
Black
around
Pete.
being frightened of black people at
They
Christmas.
do. They do.
Seriously.
Yeah, for hoo-ha, wasn't there a couple of years ago when people were sort of blacking themselves up and it got on TV and there was a huge outcry about it. And I think they were saying, well, this is our tradition, this is what we've been doing for quite a while. And it brought up the discussion, well, just because you've been doing it for such a long time, does it mean that you should continue doing it? And
No, having a number of Dutch mates, actually, I have to say that there is a massive irony that surrounds the Black Pete figure, and it is all done very tongue-in-cheek. Good. Actually, it is all done very tongue-in-cheek.
But the partner once told me he was working, helping the partner, me fella, me blokey. He was working at a school and in the playground with his cohort. They were fixing fences and things, but the children were too afraid of them because they were black to come out and play, because they thought, oh no, Black Pete's here to come and get us. And so they were asked to leave the premises while the children had the school break. Lovely.
I'm seeing their little faces. Do you think that Christmas is still a time for love and community, though? Would you say it's lost, that commercialism has ruined it, or...?
I think it's there. I think it is underneath, and it's almost like this forced fun. You've got to go out, you've got to have an amazing time, you've got to spend time with your family, you've got to be...
expectations are too high?
The expectations are hugely high. There's so much pressure. You've got to have the perfect family, the perfect meal, the perfect presents, the perfect partner. And I think Christmas can be an incredibly lonely time for a lot of people out there.
Well, there's confusion, I think, isn't there? There's confusion between that sort of like the buying into the commercial thing and thinking that actually expresses something real about, whether or not you care for somebody.
And that's
and
what
the
Christmas
community
should be about, just showing love.
Of course. And going back to our original point, you can do that, whatever faith you are. And you can do that. You can do that in your own way. I mean, I do think that there's, because I'm not of any special persuasion myself. I do think there's a place though for a sort of spirituality, and we're probably wanting to find some sort of like way of celebrating, of ritualising. And it's just a shame that we've replaced, secular society has replaced spiritual frameworks with Coca-Cola.
Yes.
That people gather around the Coca-Cola van instead of gathering around something that can represent, our spirituality, really. So...
I know, it's a shame. We do seem to have lost the spiritual side of it, wherever it's from. Yeah. Well, now we're going to take a look at a community initiative that aims to put food on the tables of families in tough times.
Over the past year, more than 1 million people have benefited from food banks over the UK. At St Andrew's Community Network, where numbers seems to show a steady level of beneficiaries compared to national average, we met Kevin Peacock, Chief Executive of the charity, who told us how they help people, especially at Christmas.
So we supply 3 days' worth of emergency food to people in crisis. Those people are identified by agencies, charities, GP surgeries, Citizens Advice Bureau, wherever, and they give a voucher to somebody, and the person comes here to redeem a voucher for 3 days' worth of food. We store the food, sort it by date order, and then supply it to centres across the city. We try and stay open as long as we can over Christmas, but to be honest, food poverty is something that happens all the way through the year. I wouldn't say it's necessarily particularly acute at Christmas. Part of the issue is a lot of the services shut down for Christmas period, so what we try and do is get ultra organised this week, next week, to make sure that all the different centres are stocked up fully with food, and that people who need vouchers have got them enough to see them through the Christmas period. So yeah, it's a whole mixture of people. Single people, families, people who are working but have, for whatever reason, had spikes in their income, decline in their income. So yeah, there's no real set pattern. It's a whole mixture of people.
and we'll talk to them, we'll make them a cup of tea, give them some toast, and generally make them feel comfortable. And then we'll go and organise some food for them. So everybody gets the same food, from the same list of food. It's just in different quantities according to the size of their family. There's a standard pack of food which includes the basics. So we would give beans and pasta and mash, juice, milk. So the basic stuff, some meat and some vegetables and some fish. Currently we're able to offer some fresh vegetables as well. Over Christmas we're able to give out some extra special things, such as boxes of biscuits and cakes and mince pies, maybe some toys for children, and all that's possible because the local community and the local supermarkets are all contributing to help us to provide that.
We've been here since 2011, and I wouldn't say, I mean, this year actually the numbers of people we've supported have stayed fairly similar to previous years. It grew kind of steadily at the beginning, but we're supporting about 3,500 people a year now, which seems to have stayed consistent this year and last year. So.
We have seen a steady increase in the number of people accessing our food bank services, but then that can fluctuate. Some Fridays we really are very busy, and then other Fridays perhaps not so busy. But we have a number of food banks open all over North Liverpool, so every day of the week there is a food bank distribution centre open.
One thing that is happening is the Liverpool food banks, the three Trussell Trust Liverpool food banks, are working much more closely together to ensure a consistent supply of food to people. And we're working together on something called Everyone Counts, the Everyone Counts campaign. So if people are interested in getting involved or to find out more and support the food banks, then to do that through Everyone Counts is the way to do it. You'll see our van, which is brightly wrapped and green, driving around the city. And really what we're looking to do is raise awareness of food poverty and raise funds to support the work of the three food banks across the city.
Welcome back. It's our last episode before we take a little break for Christmas. And so this time we're talking about what's happening in our communities to enable everyone to celebrate the holiday season. Now, as we've just seen from the VT, food banks are a very important part of our community. You have something to do with the food bank, don't you, Mary?
I just know some of the people who run the Hope Food Bank, just from one of the churches that I go to, and they are indefatigable, working really hard and inundated, but they need all the help they can get, really, in terms of donations and that kind of stuff. I've been doing a reverse advent calendar, which my church suggested doing in connection with Hope Street Food Banks, or Hope Food Bank. So the idea is that you actually put something away for each of the days of Advent, a food item from a list that they've given you, and then at the end of Advent you take that to the food bank, and it just helps them keep their stocks up, because I think the end of December but also January is going to be really hard.
Yes, the post-Christmas period can be a killer, can't it? Really can.
It's just so depressing watching that. It's just so sad that people are in these situations. That
350,000 for that.
Yeah.
No, 3,500 was it for that one. But then we've got over 10,000 people being fed this year by Liverpool Food.
But what I think is the most hard-hitting fact is that an awful lot of people who go there are in full-time employment. You know, I used to think of the food banks as places that you'd go to if you were out of work or temporarily were in real trouble, or you know, a kind of like a temporary thing. But it's more like it's there's a permanent state of being poorly paid
and that you
for
can't
being
get out of it as well.
Overworked.
Because for the past,
cycle.
what is it, the past 8 years, a lot of people haven't had pay rises. It hasn't, you know, impacting on their income.
I mean, if you're in full-time employment and you have to go to a food bank, then, I mean, you know, maybe that implies that, you know, you're the sort of individual who, with that sort of pride, you know, that you want to be working, you want to be doing all of those things.
Yes.
And you must be in a really difficult situation to have to then go to a food bank. You know, I'm completely employed, but I haven't got enough money to buy enough food. You know, I mean, it's a sad and deplorable state, really.
Reflection on David Cameron. Absolutely, and his henchmen.
Yeah.
And thank goodness the tax credits bill was overturned, because there'd be a lot more people probably going to food banks as a result of that.
I think it also shows that, you know, as a society we're probably becoming more distanced, you know, different sections of society becoming more distanced from other sections of society.
Yes, the divisions
So, you know, if you
are
belong to
increasing.
the relatively, you know, sort of like well-to-do middle classes, you know, you are more distanced unless you actually get actively involved, you know, in
And talking about
those sorts
getting
of things.
actively involved, what other things do you think that we could do to help people who are less fortunate over Christmas? Apart from the food banks, maybe we've got
I'm
the
thinking
John
of the
Lewis
elderly.
advert. The elderly, John
which
Lewis.
the John Lewis advert
yeah.
is kind of connected
Do
with,
you know
isn't
they
it?
spent £7 million on that advert?
Wow.
Which is, I just, you hear these numbers and you just think, this is horrendous. Imagine what you could have actually done. Okay, great.
yeah,
You've got a man sat on the moon
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at presents.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
how it costs that much,
Yeah.
I have
$1
no
million
idea.
on the actual advert and 7 on the campaign to
So
publicise
that's
it. Yeah.
fortune, isn't it? And what's actually happening in the advert? The little girl's sending a gift, a physical gift, up to the moon, to the guy on the moon.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
wouldn't the man on the moon prefer a bit of company than a gift?
But do you know what I did like is, did you see like Aldi's spoof advert? Which
No,
they
I
did.
haven't, no.
So
What's that
Aldi
like?
did like a spoof advert where they had a lady coming down to meet him or a similar guy, which was actually really funny. But I've lost my complete thread of thought now.
Is this where the lady's in the chair going up to
It
meet
was a
him?
gin drinking lady from the Aldi adverts. Yeah.
I think, I mean, what they're trying to do, I guess, is to get us to think about
Yeah.
what we can do.
Those who are
one-to-one
isolated.
for old people.
Yeah.
People who are isolated, and especially, I get really worried about old people and the amount of money it costs to heat the house.
Yes.
And that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
So charities like Age Concern are very pleased to take small, temporary donations or giving, especially at this time of
the
year.
Salvation Army do a lot, don't they, at Christmas? And they do a lot of
Yes.
feeding of people at
Yes,
Christmas
it's not
as well.
just brass bands in
No,
the snow,
oh
is
God,
it?
no, they're absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. You know, I know friends who do all the spud peeling and preparation the day before. You
Because
know,
it's not just about giving money, is it? You can
No,
give your
it's
time.
not.
I think Age Concern
Absolutely,
UK are looking for volunteers at the moment as well.
But it's like this loneliness that is out there in society, whether it's old people or it's it's even like families who are maybe divorced and you've got fathers who may not see their children at Christmas. It's very, very sort of sad that these people are alone, and it's like, how can you help them? Do you invite them over for dinner? Friends and family gathering them round.
There are organisations as well that I know that there's one that goes on at the Adelphi Hotel. Herbert from Herbert's Hair, he runs one, and there are lots of other organisations that run a big Christmas lunch for all those who would otherwise be alone. And I actually did try and volunteer for one last year because my boys were going to be with the dad last Christmas.
Okay.
And
So you would have been alone.
I would have been alone, so I would have been that isolated person. I thought, well, maybe I'll go along and peel some spuds and wash some dishes as well. But I was too late. There were actually too many volunteers at that point.
really?
Oh no.
So
No,
next
if
year-
I was at home, don't let that put you off. Just
No,
give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yes, do still give it a shot. And there's always people who do runs on Boxing Day with leftovers to the homeless and things. That's always a good one. I've got friends who do that.
I think it is a time of year that hopefully people can start looking outside themselves and think, right, what other things can we be doing? It is the season of goodwill and
Yeah, no, I was talking to a mate the other day, and we were sort of saying that at Christmas in particular, because you've got all this hype around, community and family and all
The
of that.
nuclear family
The nuclear
unit.
family,
Yeah,
and you've got all those adverts with all the kids running around and all the rest of it. Which on the one hand, great, obviously, but on another, it must make the individuals who are alone feel extra.
Yes, because the
lonely.
pressure to
You
have
know.
a good time and to be in caring company with the chestnuts roasting and the pine needles smelling gorgeous. And if you're on your own, it can be really demoralising. I think there should be some sort of alternative Christmas for those on their own, apart from the Christmas dinners, though God knows what form it'd take.
Maybe if we just all lowered our expectations just a tiny bit, especially I
Yes.
think as women. The pressure, I was
Yes,
talking about this with my
absolutely.
cab driver, who I promised a shout out to you on the way out. He said women don't have to do what they tend to try and take on and do. It's down to them, it's their choice. And I was like, I was tempted to go, no, that's not. And then I thought about it and thought, what if we actually just did a tiny bit less?
Well, like
All of us.
We're sort of not allowed in the kitchen at ours. It's like, no, mum is in charge of everything. She's got everything under control. Whereas you almost want to say, well, why don't you just delegate that out to other people? And the carrots may not be chopped perfectly, but it'll
I
be.
was thinking, what if I don't clean the house before putting the Christmas decorations up? Because that's on my list of about 90
Santa won't
million
come,
things
though.
to do. Santa
He
won't
knows
come.
if you've been naughty or
What
nice.
if it was
Yeah,
just
no,
slightly
absolutely.
imperfect?
Personally, this year, I've sent an email out to all my mates. I am not buying into any of the stuff not buying into any of it. And whatever I would have been spending or doing, I'm going to be giving to various charities.
That's quite
you know.
nice. Yeah,
I've
nice
just
someone else
sent it
did
out.
that.
And do you know what? The response I've had has been absolutely amazing. People coming back and saying, do you know what? We really need to not do so much of the stuff.
But I do think the cab driver's wrong, and I do think women bear most of the brunt of Christmas preparation.
I do think so, because
Depends
they
if you go out
tend
on
to do the
Christmas Eve or
Christmas
not.
shopping as well. I mean, those of you who are in a relationship, who does the Christmas shopping in your relationship?
My fella's pretty good, actually.
Oh, is he?
I've
Well,
gotta
that's
say,
good to hear.
I'm not doing any Christmas shopping.
Well, no, you just said.
I don't shop.
No Christmas shopping.
I find it shopping is stressful.
Oh, even
He's a
better.
keeper.
Oh, look at you.
But I do think nationally there's a lot of very exhausted women out there at the moment.
Yeah,
So just
no.
stop.
The pressure
Stop
to
for a
roast roast
second.
potatoes just
absolutely.
right.
Stop consuming.
There's
Stop
no such
consuming.
thing.
It's
Have
a
a
roast
drink.
dinner. It's a roast
relax.
dinner. That's what we need to remember. It doesn't have to impress the whole world with your culinary delights.
And throw a wrapping party. Get everybody round. Have you heard of these? More and more people I know are doing this. Obviously, you can't invite the kids. Throw a wrapping
Well,
party.
you
Get a
get
few
them
of
to
your
wrap their own
friends around.
presents. You should get them to bring their own present and then wrap their own present. That would be great. Like, everybody just buys their own present, wraps it and says, this is for me.
I think
Do you
things
like
like
it?
Secret Santa are a great idea. So you have, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
one, you decide on the amount instead of buying, £5 or £10 and China plasticky toys going around to people. You can actually get something that somebody would actually really, really like. So
Yeah.
An orange
one gift.
and a nut. That was my parents. Did you get that?
Chocolate money.
All we had was an orange and a
apple.
nut and some chocolate money, and we
We
were
were always told,
happy.
don't eat the chocolate as well before breakfast.
Yeah, in the paper bag.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But seriously though, really, I just think everybody should just chill a tiny bit more than usual. So it
But
doesn't
it is
matter
nice to
if
get
it's not
excited about
perfect.
Christmas though. And
It's about
yeah.
being together, spending
Yeah.
time together and caring about each other. And it does sound very worthy, that, but if that's what we bear in mind, that they're the important things, then, you know, it's got to make things a little bit easier.
And I think in terms of like making a difference, maybe there's a person who's normally you pass over in terms of somebody quieter than you at work or somebody at church or somebody on the bus even. Just connect in a small way,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can mean a lot, can't it?
Yeah.
Just those little moments.
Yeah. After the break, we'll be enjoying some Christmas fun and having a little friendly competition. I think
not
it's
gonna
our
be
side of the
friendly.
sofa that's going to win, though. Whilst we find out what goes on at our houses over Christmas.
Welcome back. It's our last episode before we take a little break for Christmas. And so this time we're talking about how everybody celebrates Christmas in the holiday season. The Bay TV team have been out on the streets of Liverpool this week, finding out how you celebrate Christmas.
Christmas Day, wake up, we'll all get downstairs together and then we'll start cooking lunch, which takes like 4 hours basically because there's so many of us, and then we just spend like the rest of the day pretty much sleeping because we've eaten too much.
Average Christmas Day, don't think I even got dressed last Christmas. I think I spent it in pyjamas all day.
Average Christmas Day starts with a bottle of champagne,
bottle of champagne, not Prosecco, and probably finishes the same way.
Yeah,
eating,
definitely
drinking and,
champagne,
yeah.
not Prosecco this year.
Just have Christmas dinner with my family and play games.
Yeah, I usually have Christmas dinner at home with my mum and my brother, and then I go to my dad's house and have like a party at my dad's. Yeah.
An average Christmas day. Sleep. Yeah. Sleep. And my family doesn't let me sleep in. Oh, damn. I usually am up way too early, but... Lots of family things, eat lots of food. My brother bounces on me a lot.
pretty much, very indulgent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stay home, have food with family, and open presents, but yeah, just literally like stuff myself with food. Yeah.
We go downstairs, open all our presents and stuff while we're still in our pyjamas. Then my mum makes lunch and stuff. My whole family come round and we sit down and have dinner. And my dad usually falls asleep from being so full. So,
on average Christmas Day, just spend time with the family, just cooking. I actually do the cooking. No, just staying. I've got a small family, so we just all stay together.
Get fat, put pyjamas on and watch films until I pass out drunk. That's with my family though, not by myself.
But yeah, pretty much the same. It's a family day.
Yeah, same. I mean, we kind of tend to go for a walk. It does involve getting dressed. It does involve thinking about what I'm going to wear, even if it is pyjamas.
Yeah.
I want to look good, and I definitely want to put a bit of makeup on, no matter if I'm going to stay in the house all day or not.
I cook, don't I?
You cook.
You're actually probably a better
family,
cook than me though, aren't
a
you?
nice family turkey roast.
Yeah, but we don't actually go out the house, do we? We just spend
No,
the whole
not on
day
Christmas
inside.
Day. Stay indoors and drink.
Yeah,
Eat, drink and be merry.
Me? Yeah, or my dad. But me. Cooking. Oh yeah, me. I do it sometimes. Or my mom. My dad doesn't cook. We don't let him. Yeah. Too adventurous. I do quite a bit of cooking, but Christmas cooking is always like a big family, family job, everyone together, so.
Not me.
My dad. Yeah, my dad does all the cooking. So.
My mum, and sometimes me. But I mean, I've never really cooked a Christmas meal. It's always someone else in the family. Yeah.
Welcome back again. Well, I know in my house I'll be doing the cooking on Christmas Day. I certainly won't be making one of these things, which look, I mean, we're going to have to decorate these now, girls, so let's give it a go. Come on.
I have been attempting to eat all our decorations before we got started.
And that means we probably won't win this competition. So come on then, girls, tell me what's the most unusual Christmas Day you've ever had? How about you, Sarah?
The weirdest would be when I was in Australia, just because it was so hot.
Wow.
So it's about 40-degree heat, and you're trying to have this Christmas meal, so you're trying to have a turkey, and you sort of sat there dripping in sweat, and you're just like, no, come on, we'll eat the turkey.
That must have been quite felt.
Well, it didn't actually feel like Christmas. It was quite strange, really, because you sort of we were on the beach anyway, so we had like our Christmas meal inside, and then we ended up sort of going down for the beach, and it was just having a swim, which was pretty good. So.
What about you, Maisie? What have you?
Oh well, my most unusual Christmas. I don't. Do you know what? I don't think I've had a really, really unusual Christmas. It's just been like lots of food.
Yes.
And sitting around and games and all of that sort of stuff. Really.
That's what I love about Christmas Day is playing games with the kids. Yeah. I mean, we play a very un-PC game called Cards Against Humanity, but it does make us laugh. But the strangest Christmas I've ever spent, here's something you might not know. I worked in Israel for a time in my early 20s. Yes. Oh,
not long
Santa's
ago then.
fallen off.
Santa is a
Yes, it was a long time ago. But I went to Bethlehem on Christmas Eve, and it was very bizarre because I had to pass through the security checkpoint first, take photographs of my feet to make sure there wasn't a bomb on my camera. Yeah. It was chucking it down with rain. You couldn't get into the church where the birth occurred because it had been booked up by a party. So we ended up wandering around shops around the Bethlehem Square looking at plastic Jesuses and things. There was no room at the end, quite literally. What about you? What about your Christmases?
Well, my father was a minister, so we always spent Christmas in church, and my favourite day of the year is Christmas Eve. So Christmas midnight mass was just beyond awesome. Yeah. Nothing could have been finer than hearing my dad say, during the last hymn, it actually became midnight, and it is now Christmas morning.
Were you choiring? Did you?
I was in a choir. I'm actually an altar girl now, though. I know I don't look like one, but I am.
Do you know what I always
at
really
Our Lady
enjoy
in St Nick's
is a good carol service. I've really gotten into it, especially as I've got older. I don't attend church on a regular basis, but I do like going along to sing some carols and just get in, it gets me in the Christmas spirit.
It's at 6 o'clock.
Amazing.
20.
What have you done?
I
20th
know.
December,
Look,
6
it's
o'clock.
Just a different colour.
Which church is that again?
Our Lady in St Nicholas, down at the docks.
Oh, right.
By the Liver Building. Come along.
Lessons
in carol by candlelight.
Oh, candlelight caroling.
My favourite carol is the Coventry Carol.
Oh,
lovely. I love the Coventry Carol.
And I like In a Bleak Midwinter. Do you know that one, In the Bleak Midwinter? Lovely.
Can I just show you what Maisie has
make
done?
Santa stick on.
Why can't the snowman be halfway up the house?
And where's Father Christmas gone?
Father Christmas.
Can I
is
just say
this-
that it's going to look like Father Christmas is bleeding on your chimney?
Well,
I think
actually,
the red icing
Father
was a bit of an
Christmas
error
has
there.
just dropped off, so
We
Father
get
Christmas
more art
probably
points.
is. Oh, I don't think so.
And I was like,
You haven't seen.
Okay, I've got another question for you now. Settle down, ladies. I've got another question for you. The weirdest food you've eaten at Christmas?
Weirdest food.
mostly what I cooked when I was chalet hosting in Switzerland. I felt so sorry for the family who had me as their chalet host because it was not a good Christmas meal.
Venison? I don't know if that's weird or not.
I quite like venison, but it is quite strange.
The snowman's sliding down the
Ours
front
is so
of the gingerbread house.
the winner.
I just like to point.
No, I just like.
Yes, ours is the winner, regardless of what theirs is
Hold on,
like.
we need to
because
speed
we're
up here. They're
bullshit.
getting a bit.
But yeah, weirdest. I think it's nice not to drink too much. I thought the video that we just saw, a lot of people were saying family, which is great,
Yeah.
but an awful lot of people were saying alcohol.
They wake up with their prosecco and they go to.
Yeah.
We do start our day with
No
a bottle of
judgment.
champagne.
But it should be about more than
quite like a bit
booze,
of
shouldn't it?
champagne.
A little booze. but,
One
you
year,
know,
I got sick of cooking, and this is when I had two very small children, and my brother was coming, my mum was coming, the mother-in-law was coming. So the day before, I ordered meals for everybody from the local Indian restaurant.
Did you?
Yes, and I microwaved them on the day, put them out, and it was fabulous.
That has actually just.
Ready meals. You heard it here.
That has actually just reminded
Ladies,
me.
that's a way of helping yourselves out at Christmas. Santa's lost foot.
we did once all
just
go
eat
out
it.
for an Indian on Christmas. We all decided as a family that we were not going to do the cooking thing. So we did go to an Indian restaurant and have a full blowout. And that was great. It was great.
Toy. So somebody bought. Have you heard of the doggy do? So it's a toy you get where the dog basically poops out putty.
Oh, lovely.
And then the child scoops it up. And that's a toy, and that was about 2 years ago. That's what we had. So walking around the chalet was this doggy do, basically doing poos everywhere.
Was it like Play-Doh stuff?
Yeah, it's like Play-Doh.
Oh, so you could actually transform it into something else?
Yes.
Oh,
I think we're going to have a lot of trains at ours this year.
Why trains?
My boyfriend's son's obsessed with locomotives of all kinds. So, yeah.
What are you hoping to get for Christmas? What's on your Christmas wish list?
Actually, I've given him about 17 different things. I gave him a Word document a couple of days ago. He's still thinking about it.
A Word document. Who says romance is dead?
So this is like
I was very clear.
a wedding gift list sort of
Well,
affair.
you never know.
Bad idea.
I recommend that, actually. I even included some pictures, some web links, that kind of stuff.
Has anybody ever bought you a kitchen appliance for Christmas? Remember the old adverts from back in the day?
The 1950s adverts. I mean, I'm a big rockabilly girl, so I like the 50s. But yeah, she'll be happy with a Hoover, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, buy her a blender.
Gents, here's a tip. Don't buy your wife anything for the
No
kitchen.
appliances.
Not that kind
Think
of.
romantic.
Well, yeah, not that kind of appliance, says. You said it, not me.
I'm thinking of GHD straighteners. What were you thinking of?
Oh, I'll be. Yes, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind just a lion.
I've
And-
actually
yeah,
asked
a
for
lion
a
would be
cuddle.
nice.
That's what I've asked.
Oh,
you
no,
said a
cuddles.
lion.
Oh, I'll have a lion as well.
That's an extraordinary present. I thought you said a lion. That's an
lion?
Yes, I
extraordinary
want
present.
a pet lion
Yes,
for
please.
Christmas.
It's a watch, which
We're
is
gonna eat
called
the
a
evidence.
Garmin Felix 3, which basically you wear on all your runs and when you're training and doing like triathlon, and it tells you about your breathing, your VO2, your pace and everything else like that.
VO2.
Like your
What's your
oxygen or
VO2?
something like that.
Oh, so it's like a posh Fitbit.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool.
This side.
But it comes in rose gold.
Oh no.
Right, how's everyone's
I think
looking?
the weirdest present I ever had was a skateboard of my husband. Did you? Yes, and
Before or after the divorce?
it was actually about 6 months
you
before the
notice the,
divorce, and
the kind of
I
Santa-
never got the hang of it then. But it did in later life, oddly enough, become quite a good skateboarder. So,
ya?
well,
didn't know that about you either.
I will try anything.
I'm gonna.
I have to say,
Okay.
we always try
How-
and do a walk on Christmas
I
Day.
think that's really
That's lovely,
important.
isn't it? If the weather's fab,
Well,
it's
when
nice
you
down there.
when you
I
end
don't
up
know what I'm
eating like
doing.
Queen's Speech as well. Does anyone
there.
listen to her?
I
She
do
gets a
like the
difficult
Queen's
time,
Speech.
doesn't she?
I like Queen's Speech.
But
Yeah, it must
can
be
we?
really, really hard. being
I
the
don't know
queen.
how you're getting on here. Ours is a mess, but we're going to have to go to the break now. But we'll be back and we'll see how well we've done these.
I think
Give
I've
it a
done
chance.
well. Santa's only got 1 foot, but what does he want? What more does he want?
See you after the break. Welcome back. It's our last episode before we take a little break for Christmas. And so this time we're talking about how everybody celebrates in the holiday season. And just before we get to this week's What's Trending, I'd just like to show you our beautiful gingerbread houses that we've taken so much time to decorate. I'd like to point out this beautiful Christmas tree here is better than theirs.
And I know Santa's only got 1 foot. Inadvertently, he fell.
Well, he's got one leg down the chimney, hasn't he?
I didn't in no way eat the evidence.
And the innovation.
Yes.
Come on, you've got to
The
show
red
the
icing
innovation
was a
of this.
mistake,
This
though.
is absolutely marvellous.
Ladies, gentlemen at home, right
Be careful
in.
with red icing.
Yes,
So, on to what's trending then, ladies. Have you been watching the news lately? Women have been elected to municipal councils in Saudi Arabia for the first time. Ban's been lifted on women voting. What do we think of this?
I think it's a good. It is a good thing.
Forward,
It's a
isn't
step
it?
forward.
It's a turning point, hopefully, for gender. I wouldn't say that gender equality is being approached, but it's a step towards.
No, the fact is that so what they have, women still can't drive over there.
No, there's a lot that women can't do unless they're accompanied by a male partner. Yeah. So, but as we say, I mean, we should celebrate this. It is a step in the right direction.
Well,
Women's
King Abdullah,
voices are
before
being
he
heard.
died, he actually appointed 30 women to a senior advisory council because he wanted to be part of his legacy that women were more involved in society and more involved in the decisions. So it is a step forward. It is moving in the right direction, but again,
With something like this, it'll take 50 to 100 years to work its way through, though. I mean, we saw that with women's suffrage.
Yes,
And
and
do we think-
the councils, the municipal councils, have got extremely limited powers.
Right.
You know, it's nothing that equates to being elected onto a local council.
Right.
You know, in the UK or other
Do you
other
think we
sorts
have
of
gender
countries.
equality in politics here?
No way.
No,
No, we
heard
don't.
it here.
No, we don't.
Just look at the statistics.
yeah. I mean, it's better than it's been for a long time, but I personally, I would like to see 50% of the parliament to be female. It
Or
needs to get
52%.
50%.
Hey.
Yeah. But it needs to get to that tipping point, doesn't it? Where the decision making can actually be impacted with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, so the Saudi Arabian thing, it's a start, isn't it? It's better than not having a vote.
And moving on
in
to
any way.
further afield in the world, what about our lovely friend in America, Mr. Donald Trump?
I don't think we'd call him a friend, would we?
Well, that was in quotation marks.
Did anyone sign
that
the?
he should turn out to be xenophobic and a racist.
But did anyone sign the petition about blocking him from entering the UK?
No, actually, I didn't because although I do not agree with anything that Donald Trump's saying, I'm not sure that that's the way you actually combat such abhorrent views.
I'm with you on this. I
you
think
know,
discussion is better than blocking.
and his views are, I think we should find them hilarious to the point of not taking them seriously.
Give him enough rope to
the
hang
more,
himself.
yeah, exactly. The more we sort of take him seriously in a way, the more legitimacy we might give his views, and they haven't got any legitimacy. I mean, it's
But a lot of Americans though do actually agree with what he's saying.
A
though.
lot don't, though. There's a
Yeah.
lot of prayerful, democratic, liberal thinking Americans. who are
I'm
just
talking about
like,
the ones who watch
wow.
Fox News.
Yeah, Fox is a heavily Republican
Do you think
channel,
he
isn't
might be doing a bit of a Katie Hopkins though, and just shocking for the sake
got
of
better
it?
hair.
Do you think? Well, hasn't everybody?
Maybe.
I don't know. I think he actually almost believes what he's saying and
Yeah, I
shouting.
think
I
he
don't
does
think
as
he's
well.
almost that.
I mean, the one good thing, if he does get in, is Katie Hopkins is going to leave the country and go and live in America. So she says. So, we've
He's
got
not going to
that
get
little
in.
No.
I hope we
not.
get a Hillary Clinton. I hope we get a woman in for the first time. I'd like to see a woman president of the USA in my lifetime.
That would be
I
good
think
to
she
see,
might be
wouldn't
it.
I mean, I'd much prefer her to Donald Trump. I mean, how would you feel if Donald Trump got in? What do you think would
well,
be
that
the...
would be a frightening prospect.
I don't think it's a serious
except that his ideas are so incoherent that, in fact, I mean, no leader of any country acts alone. They are surrounded by other individuals, and hopefully...
He's actually making things quite difficult for people who live in his Trump Tower property as well, apparently. Did you read there was a story that they were saying, they're actually terrified that they would become some kind of focal point for terrorist activity.
Yeah,
because it's quite a symbol, isn't it, Trump Tower, anyway.
He does want to ban Muslims entering the country or putting them on a list, doesn't he? It gets getting quite ridiculous.
Yes, that is ridiculous. Absolutely
No, it's
ridiculous.
not on.
Yeah.
No.
So we don't like Donald.
Okay, well, on to the next trending topic. IBM trying to encourage more women to take up tech. You know,
Oh my
this
God,
is a subject
hack a
close to my
hairdryer.
heart.
Hack a hairdryer.
Yes, let's hack a hairdryer. Well, what
was
else can you do with a hairdryer then? I
Did you
wonder.
see some of the hilarious responses? There was one last that said, and do excuse me if I don't get it exactly right, but it was something like, "Oh, I leave mending the hairdryers to the guys because I'm too busy doing my nanotechnology."
Hey! I mean, there's no doubt we need to attract more women to STEM, don't we?
Yeah.
Science, technology, engineering, maths. We do need to do that. But I just think it's a kind of overly self-conscious, patronising.
Do we think a guy came up with this? What about women like hair dryers? They need it for the hair.
Somebody patriarchal came up with
Yeah.
it, with a male or female.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I think that got backfired massively.
Well, it's backfired, but the good thing about it is it's shed light on the fact that we do need more women in these areas of industry and science, and at least it's got people talking again. So, you know, we'll try and keep it on the
Perhaps
positive
giving the
there.
women who actually contribute to science more credit in the first place might help. You know,
Making them more visible.
For example, you know, the whole DNA thing. We know the Watson Crick names, don't we?
Yes.
But then, of course, you know, who was that woman who did the key thing that happened before?
Well, if I ask anybody
Because
who
it's
the
true.
first computer programmer was, they never say the right name, and it's Ada Lovelace.
Yeah, exactly.
And she was the first programmer who worked on Babbage's machine. Charles Babbage made the machine, and she did the programming.
Yeah.
And that's the word bug comes from the fact that a moth flew into the machine and created a problem with a calculation. So it's literally comes from a bug flying into a machine. That's your little bit of Christmas info for you now.
So I've been looking at Playboy, not literally.
Tell us more.
Just for the purposes of work, ladies. I've been looking at Playboy's magazine final nude entry. They are no longer going to be featuring naked women. It's going to be non-nude photos, in-depth interviews, apparently.
Well, people used to read it for the interviews, though, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's what they said.
Interesting articles. Interestingly enough, this year's Pirelli calendar has been shot by Annie Leibovitz for the first time, and it's showing women being strong, being women, and not being sexy. They're being women doing things other than being sexy,
Being more than just body.
Yes,
which is the
they're
point.
not objects in this
Do
calendar.
you
I
think
think that's
see
a
if
great
Playboy
thing.
still continues to objectify women and to render sexuality as a process of objectification, even without making female body a centrefold?
I think it's almost like it's coming to this, like, you know, we've had FHM and Zoo magazine both closing down.
Thank God.
Nuts magazine.
Yeah,
gone.
Nuts is gone. But I think all of
No more page 3.
Thank God. I used to write across page 3. If you're enjoying this, you are a representative of the patriarchal system. Wherever I found that. It was my little tiny vote.
But is that a reflection of society evolving and changing, or is it just because porn is so much more readily accessible?
Online, well,
Just got your phone, 2 clicks.
I believe it's representational of a societal change. I mean, it's something I campaign for on a daily basis with my job. I'm a boudoir photographer, and I shoot women projecting their sexuality the way they wish to project it. It's not objectification, and it's a private thing, so it's not pornography. Pornography is a public thing where you put yourself out for public stuff. Yeah, and so it's something that's very close to my heart, and I really see it as a step in the right direction, very much so. I mean, let's face it, what's sexy? What you don't see or what you see? I think it's what you don't see.
Always, yeah, absolutely. So we think it's a good thing.
Definitely. I do.
Well, I might just buy a copy and have a read this time, just to see. I'll be interesting to see how the articles treat women.
Is it the February one?
January, February, yeah.
That's the first one, isn't it?
Is it?
That's not going to have the nude.
With is
The last nude was Pamela Anderson?
Yes,
Yeah.
Right.
But that's just coming out, so... Yeah.
For Christmas.
put it on your Christmas list.
Oh, yes. What else would you like to see on your Christmas list?
Oof. Don't know, you first.
Oh, I've already said mine. I want like a really boring watch. Garmin
Of
Felix
course,
3
yes.
Sapphire Rose
Yes,
Gold.
in case anybody's
well,
watching.
anybody out there, if they want to do that.
Send it to the studio, thank you.
Also, we've talked about a lot of things today. We've had the end of an era, haven't we, with the Playboy? Or is it an end of an era? The start of an era in Saudi.
The importance of church.
Yes, yes. Well, I think it's fair comment that, because in that VT,
math.
as you said, nobody who was questioned on the streets there mentioned going to
I was
church.
so depressed by that. There was nothing. It was all, I mean, it was lovely. Family. That sounded nice, but difficult for people who perhaps feel they don't have one, which is what we would also talked about today.
Absolutely.
But what about Christmas being more than just Prosecco and pyjamas?
And
Well, I
gifts,
do always get a new pair of pyjamas though every Christmas.
That's your little tradition.
My little tradition.
We have weird traditions in our house, as you can imagine.
What's your
But,
weird tradition?
well, just things like, I don't know, we have this thing where we jump out on each other like lunatics, see who can give each other the best heart attack.
Really?
I've dragged my children up. I didn't bring them up. They're creatures from another planet. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think we have focused a lot on love too, though, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I think one of the most important things we've said today is just tiny little acts.
Tiny little acts.
Go
of
forth.
kindness.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I love those videos,
Pay it
like
forward, yeah.
acts of kindness that go viral, which are just so lovely to see when
Yeah.
someone buys a coffee for somebody else or pays for their
Yes.
shopping or just
Yeah.
does something really thoughtful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing, something we were talking about before the show aired actually, was a thing I've been reading where it was a psychological study. Many studies have shown that it's better to spend your money on experiences rather than material
Yeah,
things.
okay,
You
yeah.
gain
Material
more
goods, yeah,
happiness
yeah.
from it in the long run. So everybody out there, put your money there.
Yeah.
I think,
Absolutely.
spend time together.
Yeah. Shared experiences.
Yes.
I'd just like to point out my roof has completely fallen off.
Santa's still on though, now that we've moved his location.
What a lovely show we've had today.
Well, that's all we've got time for today. So all that's left to say is have a fab time over the holidays, and we will see you in the new year. Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas.